Hi, I'm Casey with Keeping It YYC. Today I am joined by Lisa LeBlanc of Altered Life. How are you today, Lisa?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'll start and I'll just ask you to tell us a little bit about your business.
Okay, sure. I live in the southeast rather quadrant of Calgary in the community of Cranston, and I'm a seamstress.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It's a lot of fun. I do alterations, I do repairs, I do a lot of bridal and grad, which normally keeps me very busy this time of year. But of course, there's no bridal and grad happening as far as fittings and alterations needed. So I have switched my production over to masks, and I think I'm pretty close to the 600 mark now.
600 masks.
Yeah. By the end of the
Wow,
week, I will probably have surpassed 600.
that's amazing.
I've been donating most of them, but I've also had quite a few people in the community that have. My community's been fantastic because I started doing this for donation purposes for mustard seed shelter, and they had a need for 1,000, and I said, well, here's a good chance to use up my stash. Let's see how far I can get. And when I started running out of fabric, I put a plea out on my community Facebook page for, do you have extra sheets? Do you have extra fabric that you're willing to donate? This is what I'm doing. And I got just inundated with people in my community donating fabric to me so I could keep making masks. So I was able to donate 250 masks to Mustard Seed. And then I started learning about thrift stores. Mission's thrift store needed masks when they needed to open. The Calgary store needed 95, which I was able to provide. The Okotoks store needed 80. The Grand Prairie store needed 50. I was able to supply all of those. So it's been really great. My family's been helping me. My husband has learned how to use the serger, and he quite likes it. He's pretty good at it too.
Yeah, that's awesome. You got your own little line of workers going.
Oh yeah, yeah. At one point I had, I think, 5 or 6 people, family, in my sewing room, and everybody was on a machine or cutting or, yeah, it was pretty great. We were able to pump out quite a few.
So then they are fabric and they're washable, so people can wear them out and then throw them in the wash or hand wash them and dry them and use them again.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a pocket for filters if a filter is needed. And they are wired at the nose for better fit.
Okay, perfect.
The first ones that we made for us, my husband went out and used it and was at the grocery store and his glasses kept fogging up. So, okay, this is a problem. We've got to fix this. So I started adding wire. It was tricky to get materials. Elastic's hard to find. I pretty much bought out every dollar store and Walmart that I could find of the really cheap, thin, easy to stretch hair elastics, which is what I used for the ear loops. Finding wire was a little more tricky, but we managed to do that. I have a florist friend that pointed me in the right direction. So once I started putting wires in the nose, then you can just seal down the nose piece and it makes it much, much easier to wear.
Yeah, especially if you've got the glasses.
Yes.
So my next question then, and you've kind of already alluded to this, is what have you been doing to adapt to the current environment for your business?
Well, my husband's really happy that I've been using up my fabric stash that I've been hoarding carefully over the last 30 years. So that's helped with the storage around our home. I have a few clients that I've had that are longstanding clients that have dropped off alterations and, hang it on my doorknob. I pick it up, I do the fixes and hang it back on my doorknob. They come back to pick up. I've had a few of those, but honestly, mostly I've just been doing donation work with masks. Another woman in the community for Mustard Seed, when they needed blankets, she had 4 huge bulk manufacturing rolls of blanket fabric that she donated, and they asked if I'd be willing to switch when they didn't need masks anymore. Would I be willing to switch to blankets? So I said, absolutely. Went over and picked up the fabric, and my family again chipped in, and we've rolled it out down the hallway, and a couple of pieces of masking tape and cutting, and we got it all cut. And then I just had to sew the ends to finish them, put them through the wash, and I was able to finish, I think it was almost 120 blankets.
Wow.
For mustard seeds. So now they've got the blankets that they so desperately needed for their people, because this crisis has really put organizations like that in need of extra supplies. So
that's amazing. So what you've done is really just kind of switched your focus to a charitable platform. That's amazing.
If somebody needs it and I can sew it, then yeah, we're in business. It's also given me purpose. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. If I couldn't have clients anymore, what was I going to do every day? And this has really helped me by giving me a meaningful purpose and allowing me to keep working, donating, and keep serving my community.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well then, my next question is, what can people do right now to support local businesses or the local charities as well?
That's a really great question. And I think the first thing I would say is to go on a search and discover what's out there. Because there are tons of home businesses, there are tons of small businesses that I don't even know about. And it's amazing what you learn about by word of mouth. Because honestly, I don't really advertise. It's just me in my sewing room. If I advertised, I'd have way more work than I would know what to do with. So it's really more by word of mouth for me. And I know a lot of businesses run that way. So if you know of a small business, promote them, get them on your social media. And when you find a small business on social media, flag it, save that post, remember, and if somebody has a need, and do you know of anybody who, and then go back to that list and say, hey, this is a small business, this is a family-owned business that, does this or does that. So in searching and just paying attention and being aware, we needed our windows washed. That's a good isolation job. Window washers are still out there. We know of a family-owned window washing company. So we gave them a call and set it up. And as much as possible, we're supporting our family-owned businesses in the community.
Awesome. So then I have one last question for you, and is, do you have any tips or tricks you can give to people in relation to your area of expertise?
Tips and tricks. Sewing on buttons seems like a really simple thing. However, there are things that you can do to make that button a little stronger. Depending on the button, if it's a shirt button and you've got like the 4 holes, sew that on in an X, and then go through a few times. So you've got a good, 6 or 8 stitches going both ways. And instead of knotting it off right there, take your needle and thread and wrap it around underneath the button, in between the button and the fabric. And then go through a couple of times with your needle to secure that, and then knot it off, and your button's going to be a lot stronger. Oh yeah. It's not going to come off nearly as quickly. That actually is a good double up your thread to make it faster. So you're not passing one thread through every time. You can double up or quadruple up that thread, and you've got 2 or 4 threads going through each pass, and it makes it a lot faster. Oh yeah. These are amazing tips. These are things that I needed to know. I'm always losing buttons for some reason. So, and then I put them back on and I lose them a week later. Buttons are annoying. They really are. If it's a coat button, make sure you use the right thread. Make sure you use a coat thread. Okay. Or a button, it's going to be called a button thread, and it's much heavier. You're going to need a needle that has a little bit of a bigger eye to be able to pass that thread through, but it's very, very strong, and it's meant for that kind of often frequent use. Okay, that's good to know too. I didn't realize there was a type of thread. I can give you a quick ironing tip. When everybody goes back to work, and if you are pressing work pants And you want to make sure on polyester type of fabric, for instance, if the iron's too hot, it's going to kind of melt that down and give it a shine that you don't want. It's going to make your pants shiny. And it's hard to get a good crease in. So what I do is I use a pressing cloth, which is really just a piece of 100% cotton. It could be ripped from an old sheet. It could be cut out of an old shirt that you're not going to wear anymore, and just put that down underneath your iron. And then you can use a nice hot setting, and you can use a nice steam shot. And if you put it over that edge where you want a good crease, use a pressing cloth, use good heat, use steam, and just go over that area. You're going to get a nice crease.
Nice, and protect your fabric.
And protect the fabric. Yes.
That's awesome. These are amazing tips. That's actually all the questions I had for you, though. We do kind of like to have you finish the interview for us by just looking into the camera, stating the name and the name of your business, and just asking everybody to keep it local, keep it YYC.
I'd love to. This is Lisa from Altered Life. Keep it local and keep it YYC.